So this is a tax by stealth. It's hitting Canadians harder and harder every year. And I think it's important for people to know half of the price of beer is taxes, 65% of the price is wine is taxes, and more than 75% of that tequila shot that you and me took last weekend, that was taxes too. So
hey everyone, I'm Franco Terrazzano, the federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, holding down the fort in the nation's capital, also known as Mordor, also known as Ottawa. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Jay Goldberg. He's the Ontario and interim Atlantic director. Now, we call balls and strikes here. Sometimes when a politician does something good, sometimes, in the rare chance, we praise them. When politicians do something bad, well, we have our friends like Jay who run after them with a bat. And Jay has been hammering away at the government of Newfoundland and Labrador for its pop tax. But Jay, you were saying that this is really just a tax grab. And you were talking about how before the show, you were looking through Sobeys flyer and you said that proves that it's a tax grab. So why don't you explain to the listeners what you've been up to?
Yeah, I wasn't just looking at a grocery store flyer from another province for no reason. Obviously, prices in Newfoundland are interesting in general, but no, I'm looking at pop in particular because on September 1st, Premier Andrew Furey, he implemented a 20 cents per liter, and that's $1 per case of Coke, by the way, but a 20 cents per liter tax on pop that has sugar in it, but it's applied at the wholesale level and not at checkout counters. What that means is it's a hidden tax. So if you're checking out at the grocery store, they don't apply it at the end so you can see exactly how much you're paying. It's applied before it even gets to the grocery store. And what that means is Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, they don't even know how much extra they're paying for this tax. So it doesn't even make sense that somehow the tax is going to influence behavior. But I also looked at the flyer because we were showing that, of course, the price of diet pop is going to remain the same as regular pop. Wow. There's no way. If you're going to go to, a Burger King and you get a large pop with your burger there, that somehow there's a sign on the fountain machine that says, come back and pay an extra whatever cents a liter when you're filling it up in your regular Pepsi pump instead of your diet Pepsi pump. There's no way. So, this stuff, it's applied at the wholesale level. And what we're seeing in the grocery store flyers is that the price of regular and diet pop, it's still the same. It still lines up. So either way, the whole idea, it's just nuts. It's not actually doing anything to influence behavior because prices for regular pop, diet pop, they're still the same. It's just taxpayers that are getting hit even larger with these higher and higher costs. And we know, bottom line, this is all for the $9 million of extra tax revenue that they want in St. John's, that they want the legislature. If this was really about health, there's no way they'd be applying this at the wholesale level.
Yeah, and talk about the worst possible time to take an extra $9 million from taxpayers, like whoever it's going to end up coming from, right? So you talked about the diet pop. I think you made a good argument as to why it's really not going to reduce the consumption of those sugary pops. And it's crazy to think that it's being applied to the diet sodas as well. But I just want to know for more background, there's other types of sugar drinks people can have or food that they can consume. So are these other types of sugary foods or drinks also going to be hit with the tax?
Well, not a lot of them. And so this is one of the really, really dumb things that has to do with the sugary pop tax, because, if you want to go have a can of Coke, maybe that's got 140 calories, something like that. But, that's going to be taxed. But if you or I, we want to go to Dairy Queen, get like an extra large Blizzard with all the calories and everything in it that we want, that's going to have over 1,000 calories in that ice cream. You're not going to get some special tax on there. So literally a can of Coke, 140 calories, you're going to get taxed. You want to get 1,000 calorie Blizzard at Dairy Queen? No tax. So the only thing that this is going to do is that we're going to have loss of weight in taxpayers' wallets, not actually loss of weight when you're standing on the scale. And who knows, people might just get more overweight because they're going to change from pop over to ice cream. So it's just a really, really stupid tax. It makes no sense. And clearly it's just a tax grab.
You know who needs to go on a diet anyways? Like, come on, these governments, right? Like how bloated these budgets are, man. And even before the pandemic, there's so much fat on these budgets. Those are the people who really need to go on a diet. Not people, but let's say the governments. Okay, Jay. So obviously we don't want this type of tax to be spreading across other provincial jurisdictions, right? When one politician does something bad, sometimes we see that bad idea pop elsewhere. But the thing that we should talk about is the other types of tax hikes that are going on across Canada. So Jay, can you kind of outline what other tax increases are happening right now?
Sure. I mean, let's talk about alcohol. Friday evening, you like to sit home, relax, have a beer, maybe a glass of wine. Well, your taxes keep going up. And this is, it's a novel creation the Trudeau government had. They made this decision in 2017 so that they wouldn't have to be seen hiking our taxes every year on alcohol, or at least voting to hike our taxes every year on alcohol. They've decided to put in what's called an escalator. So every year our taxes on alcohol go up anyway, and we don't have to watch these politicians, or we don't have the opportunity to watch these politicians in the House of Commons stand up and vote for tax increases. So this is a tax by stealth. It's hitting Canadians harder and harder every year. And I think it's important for people to know half of the price of beer is taxes, 65% of the price is wine is taxes, and more than 75% of that tequila shot that you and me took last weekend, that was taxes too. So, I mean, this is tax by stealth. It's been so since 2017. And this is one of the worst kind of tax hikes you can see, because politicians don't have to stand up every year and vote to hike your taxes. When they can do this automatically, that's a huge danger. As I said, it's tax by stealth, and this alcohol tax, it's getting so out of control when half or more of the price of like every type of alcohol is just taxes.
Okay, bear with me here. So, well, first, no, hold on a sec, Jay. You told me you were going to bring up last weekend, okay? So I'm a little bit upset with you. I spent way too much money, and now I'm even more upset that a lot of it was the government taxes. Okay, so bear with me here, because I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant, because there's another tax that's coming into place federally, and I am so worried about some people who are going to lose their job. And it's the Trudeau government's luxury tax. So now if you can afford a fancy car, a private plane, or a new boat, you might be hit with a luxury tax on that. And look, I don't begrudge anyone if you can afford a fancy Porsche or anything like that. But those aren't the people who I'm going to be worried about with this new luxury tax. I'm worried about the middle-class Canadian workers who are going to lose their job because of this luxury tax. And that's exactly what we saw in the United States when they tried their hand with this ill-thought-out form of luxury taxes back in the early 90s. You had President H.W. Bush, who back in the day, he broke his read my lips vow of no new tax hikes when he brought in luxury taxes. But the luxury taxes, they led to 25,000 job losses in the boat building industry, led to thousands of additional job losses in other parts of the economy, including people who provide the parts and materials for the boat building industry. In fact, the luxury taxes sent so many people to the ranks of the unemployed that about 2 years after Bush brought in the luxury tax in 91, you had Democratic President Bill Clinton essentially repeal all of the luxury taxes because they made a mistake. The luxury taxes, they hurt the middle-class American workers. So we're not really here worried too much about people who might have to pay a little bit more for the Ferrari. We're worried about the Canadians who are going to lose their job. And there's already evidence here in Canada to suggest that similar amount of pain is going to be inflicted on the Canadian workers. We've seen different industry associations reach or speak out saying it's going to lead to lost Canadian jobs. But also the Parliamentary Budget Officer says that the luxury tax, Trudeau's luxury tax, will lead to about $2.9 billion in lost sales. Well, guess who takes it on the chin when sales go down by $2.9 billion? The Canadian workers who are no longer needed to build or service as much boats, planes, and cars. So that's what we're worried about with the Trudeau government's luxury tax. We're worried about more job losses at the worst possible time. Now, to our supporters who are listening, we need you to take action. So if you're in Newfoundland and Labrador, if you're on the rock there, now would be a pretty good time to send Premier Furey an email. But also to all of our Canadian supporters, reach out to your MP, tell them, hey, we're paying way too much taxes, and there's no way that you should be dreaming up new schemes to take more money from Canadian pockets. Just stop wasting so much money and lower some taxes now. Anyways, Jay, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, great to be with you.